Hey guys, I want to make a serious video because this is a video topic that's been in my head for kind of a little bit now, and I think everybody that's been on the internet, especially in recent times, has definitely seen a lot of the harassment and toxicity that has been going on. And I mean, for a little bit of examples, we have the stuff with, let's say, Hogwarts Legacy, and how we had that whole controversy and cancellations, to streamers and YouTubers getting run off the platform or even breaking down crying, to just the amount of harassment that they have gotten, to also seeing, let's say, someone like Mr. Beast just yesterday getting canceled for the sheer fact of him donating, to also, another example of him when he decided to, improve people's life and actually give them eye surgery. There will always be those individuals that will go out of their way and harass people, even if, they're the kindest, sweetest people. They can have no wrong, they can basically be a saint, and someone will still find something, a way to twist things to make it seem like those individuals are the worst people to ever walk on the planet. And so, as someone that has been a content creator for many, many years now, I kind of want to talk about the topic and kind of how I, myself personally, deal with harassment, and how I also deal with just toxicity, and kind of maybe some reasons of how you could potentially handle it as well as you venture the online space, especially if you're a content creator. So let's get right into it. So basically, over the years, I have definitely had my fair share of things that have been said to me that is very ugly. I've had people make entire videos on me, basically saying I'm the worst person imaginable. I've had people tell me that basically I could break glass with my voice. People told me that my nose is crooked. People said my hairline is really messed up. Looks like I just got, thrown into, a wood chipper. Someone has said that my hair looks like a wig. I've had people call me ugly. I have heard, obviously, back-to-back things over the years. And one big life lesson that I definitely want everybody to understand is that you can walk a straight line and be the best person. You could potentially have nothing wrong with you, and someone will try to figure any way they possibly can to insult you or try to drag you down to their level or even below their level to make you feel literally like crap. And honestly, it's not a good thing. It's not something that should be okay. But at the end of the day, something I think we all can agree on, which sucks that we have to agree on it, is it's the internet. It's online. Because if you're someone that puts your face out there, if you're someone that makes content, you're going to deal with harassment. You're going to deal with toxicity. You will always have individuals that, will want to see you fail in any way possible, no matter what. When you finally fail, when you finally make a mistake, they will come at you and rip you apart to no end because they will find any way they possibly can to hurt you. Now, to get into the point, is that basically, as someone that has obviously dealt with this, my overall reaction to this is that when someone goes out of their way to insult you, and this sounds like probably obvious advice I want to give, but obviously not a lot of people do it, my personal take on the matter is if someone doesn't have anything, let's say, good to say to you, and they don't have, let's say, a discussion or a topic, whatever, the best choice of action is either A, to ignore them and just completely disregard what they say, because obviously they're not bringing anything to the table, they just want to hurt you, or you block them. And I know it seems like that's some form of controversial thing to do. I know a lot of people think online where, if you block someone, instantly the person that blocks someone is the loser or they take the L because they blocked the person. But I feel like at the end of the day, you don't want people like that in, let's say, your feed. You don't want people like that on your online space when you just have them coming out of nowhere just to insult you basically for no reason. No matter what you do, they just want to say something very negative. And I think that there is nothing really wrong, necessarily, about trying to either ignore or even just block those individuals that necessarily just, like I said, want to hurt you. Now, there is a line as well to criticism, and this is something that also needs to be talked about, because I feel like a lot of people sometimes mix up criticism with harassment, and I think that this is something that does also need to be talked about before I go any further. So criticism, in my personal opinion, at least the way I view it, is let's say I make a mistake. Let's say, I say, Goku has 3 arms instead of, let's say, 4 arms, okay? And I make an honest mistake. And then someone points out, let's say in a very civil manner, in my comment section or social media, and they basically say, wow, man, you really made a mistake there. You straight up, said he had 3 arms instead of 4, etc. you know, it's an honest mistake, but at the same time, someone criticizing you for that makes a lot of sense. You know, mistakes happen, and at the same time, when people point that stuff out, you're able to kind of realize, oh crap, I was wrong there, and you want to make sure you don't make that exact same mistake again. And so I think that there is a line of criticism that is relatively important. For instance, if someone says, like, maybe your mic quality sounds a little bit off, or maybe doesn't sound good, then maybe you should check into maybe getting a new mic or something. You know, there's always things like that. And so criticism, in its own way, even sometimes if it sounds harsh and it's hard to swallow, can be very helpful. And so I think that there is always that line you need to understand between criticism and people being toxic / harassment towards you. And this is definitely something that's obviously very difficult, depending on the individual. It's case-by-case basis, because obviously everybody online has a different personality. I mean, I know that's really hard to understand, but something that, you know, will be fine with you, something that, you know, doesn't really affect you, could easily affect others. A good example of this would probably be, you know, Pikami, that happened recently. I know that the full reason of her leaving isn't necessarily the harassment and all that she got, but we definitely are not going to deny the fact that she's had a tough life, and she definitely received a lot of bullying and harassment that she definitely did not deserve. And overall, her reaction and silence she had for a month definitely was probably because of the harassment. Everybody handles things in very different ways. Just because of what I'm saying here, it works for me, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for everyone. But at the end of the day, one thing I do want you to take away from this, anyone that is like, let's just say, a content creator, or anyone that, let's just say, is just watching this video in general, people are just going to hate you. That's just the cold, harsh facts. I know that sounds like a simple to understand or simple to say, but there will just be people out there that will hate you no matter what and say the most vilest things to be able to hurt you, even if there's no basis for it. And so, once you're able to understand that and know that people will just hate you for no reason regardless, I think you're able to have some form of freedom. At least that's how I feel. When I feel that way, I'm able to be like, you know what? At the end of the day, I know that this stuff isn't true, and they're just trying to get under my skin, and I just shrug it off. I shrug it off, and I move onward. That's what I do, because it's like, if you're someone that also can handle, let's say, harassment to a certain degree by, like, saying, like, if someone calls you, let's say, good example, ugly, and you're like, true, I am ugly, typically the people's responses will be like, they don't even want to know. Either they'll double down and say, yeah, you really are ugly, or they just won't even respond, because how do you respond to someone, like, you know, for instance, that calls someone ugly, like, if they call, let's say, me ugly, and then I respond with, yeah, true, I am ugly, how are they supposed to respond to that? It's like, what? Like, shouldn't he be upset? Shouldn't he be saying, nah, he's not ugly, or shouldn't he be saying that I'm ugly, or whatever? When you get down to their level, you already lost. So it's best to just, like, be like, you know what? Sure, I'm ugly. Go along with it. And then they won't even know what to do, because it's like, obviously that doesn't really affect you, it doesn't make you upset, and it's just like, they don't even know what to say at that point. It basically just, you didn't, you know, go down to their level to start calling in names as well. So yeah, that is my overall advice to the overall topic. I know that one other thing that does need to be said, and I know once again this is something very obvious, but a lot of people tend to forget about it, is that at the end of the day, everybody online, even if we're anonymous and we have, let's say, names and profiles that's named after some of our favorite characters, let's say in anime, manga, or video games, or whatever the case may be, at the end of the day, the person behind that screen is probably a person, unless they're, you know, a bot. But most of the time, it's a human being. And oftentimes, when people go out of their way to insult you or whatever, they're probably venting. That's another thing to really look at. You never know what circumstances those individuals are really having behind the scenes, but it doesn't mean it's okay. But at the end of the day, we also got to remember that everybody on both sides are human beings that are going through their own different journeys within life, dealing with their own problems and going through stuff, and that's just what happens. And so, I feel like one thing that a lot of people, I think, continuously forget about over the years, especially since the internet, is that people are human beings, and you should honestly try to treat people more like human beings. Will that change, though? No. I mean, let's be honest here. At the end of the day, this video, a lot of people's perspective on it, you know, people are going to look at me like, yeah, and that's about it, and then, give or take, a year from now, the harassment will still be the exact same as it's always been. Nothing necessarily will ever change, because that's just how human beings are, and once again, when you accept that pill, life gets a little bit easier. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this. I don't know, this is my personal thoughts. I'm not saying that everything I've said in this works for everybody. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that is how I deal with things. I just take it, to the jaw and I move on, and, I'm just someone that likes to be positive and stay positive, and, I make content that I enjoy and I like as well, and I just do what I enjoy. That brings me smiles and laughs, and I think that's kind of why we have such a fantastic community, is because of that. And as always, I owe it all to you, because you guys are always the ones that are allowing me to even be able to be here in the first place. So, that is definitely something I need to say. But I'm going to wrap up this video here. It's like 3 a.m. in the morning. I don't know when I'll upload this, but I want to say I appreciate all of you, and I hope you all have a fantastic day or night wherever you live. Be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.